Hi, my name's Erin and welcome to Channeling Divinity. And today I have got the lovely Lauren Joy Rose with me. And you might know her from Let's Talk By podcast. She does everything soul contracts and divine healing. And she's here today to interview me and interview my channel. I'm and yeah, so over to you, Lauren, if you wanted to talk a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Erin. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And when you asked me to do this, it's almost like this memory came back of like at earlier times, especially when I had my awakening and I would watch channelers and I would think to myself, like, do I want to be the channel or do I want to be the interviewer? And I was like, I would want to be the interviewer. Like, I want to find and I want to ask the questions because when I do watch people channeling, there are times when I think to myself, okay, I think I know how the interviewer has just interpreted that, but I think there's another way that could be interpreted and they didn't ask what they meant. So like what if there's a miscommunication? And I'm always so good at that understanding where there can be multiple ways of interpreting something. And so I was like, yeah, I would want to be the interviewer because then I'll say to spirit, wait, that could mean this or that. What did you mean? Because they are not quite the experts on our language like we are.
Very, very true. And actually, that leads me greatly into just saying how channeling works through me. So they do use my dialect and my little bit of my knowledge and my language. So sometimes words can come out, and I just have to double check. Is that what you meant? But yeah, no, it's great. And it's great that that connection's there straight away. I love it. So
Yeah, no, because it's true. They're trying to figure out the words to you that make sense to you, right? But we have that as humans all the time. Oh, well, I thought you meant this, and how many times are you in an argument with someone because you misinterpreted what the other meant or vice versa?
right, right, yeah, and definitely if the questions are there, it's definitely about seeking clarity as well. So yeah, I'm absolutely excited to see what's going to go on and how this communication is going to take place. Um, are you ready?
I am. So do you want us to, what's your process of getting into it?
It will just take me, well, I'll say a couple of minutes, but I will just center down and come through, and um, they'll let you know when they're here. They might introduce themselves or whoever's come through, um, and yeah, and we'll see what comes through and who comes through, or yeah, I'm just going with it. Let's just go with it.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
let me put it out there for spirit that I have some questions about the current state of the world and the events that we're living through. So whoever is best to answer that, if you could please come through now.
Awesome. Great. Okay. They're asking me to relax into it. So, whew, there's a lot of energy. There's a burst. Okay. Yes, they're willing to talk around this subject, and it is going to be an ease into this sort of container today. So we do appreciate how how this subject is very, very important in this time, and we would like to help you access the information. Trying not to limit the container. So yes, we are here and we are ready. So please ask away.
Wonderful. Well, just to begin, who are we speaking with now?
You are speaking with a collective, so it is not that there is just one source. There are many sources here to communicate through today. So we can't exactly tell you initially every single being that is involved in this. So we will just say that we are a collective here to talk about the expansion of consciousness at this time in this delivery moment.
Beautiful. And what dimension, if you are associated with a specific dimension, do you come from?
Yes. Seventh and above up to right up to the 12th dimension. There is a combination, and there is an exceedingly big amount of energy here with us. So it is hard to deliberate which ascension network or grid that we are on. It is just to say that there is multiple factions here.
Wonderful, beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us. And really just starting off, would it be helpful for you, for me to talk about what's going on? I know that there could be different timelines. Would it help to pinpoint for that?
If it is relevant to the question that you want to ask and have a base layer there, then it is up to you how you answer this question to yourself.
Okay. Well, for myself, I live in the United States. Trump is once again president here, and there has just been a lot of destruction, a lot of things going on. And I know for myself, I have found it very helpful from hearing from other channels and sort of being prepared that we are needing to see the end of old paradigms, the end of old structures. And so, yes, we are seeing a lot of destruction happening now. Could you give any insight from these other higher dimensional planes of what is going on Earth right now, not only in the United States, but globally?
Yes, we can look at this into this. So the way we would like to start with is the word of your description, destruction. When you are talking about destruction, how do you rebuild? When you rebuild something, it has to be destroyed first, and so to say, like, we don't like this word, but it is something that has to crumble before it can be rebuilt and restructured. So in this sense, there is a lot going on where things are starting to make monumental shifts so that the rebuilding and the restructuring of systems can come through and be initiated. So what you are seeing is many different places and many different factors are coming to a place where they are being reborn into such a different network, a higher vibration, and really, like, there is a sense of clearing out happening. So when this clearing out happens, it can definitely be disruptive and very messy, and sometimes it can be also clean and structured. So it is just the way you wish to view this. Either you can view it as, oh, this is a destructive format, or you can view it as, oh, look, this is making way for lots of beautiful new things to happen. So although the perception here might need shifting a little bit, we can only see that things can only get better. And we are seeing that even though these monumental waves are happening in this current climate, they will settle.
Yes, beautiful. Can you speak a little bit then about what we are growing into? And I think we can, there's so many conversations about New Earth, but sometimes that goes into things that will take generations to build. Like, what will those of us alive now see coming as the next chapter, like that we are actually going to get to see and witness and benefit from?
Wow. This journey is very much within each and every individual and how they see the perspectives of the world and what they decide to place their attentions into. For if you are dipping your fingers into 5 pots, so to say, some of those pots might be gooey and some might be like honey. Some might be tasting wonderful and some might be a little bit stagnant. It all depends on your perception and the individual's view to where they can raise their vibrations to. And when people actually take this into accountability for what they are involving themselves in, then this sort of structure that is coming into this new world atmospherics is very much a lighter sense of being. And this is not just for the individual to participate in, but if every individual is participating in their own highest truth and their own golden ways, then it is very much bringing through a collective sense of the golden age. And by the golden age, we are talking a lighter sense in the years to come. Now, we are not going to give you an exact timescale because this will go against regulations and rules that are implemented at this time. But we can give you the structure that in the lifetime that you are in at the moment, there is a very structured sense of initiations which are going to take place, which will enable the transition to come to not ahead, but enable the transition to start being more applicable.
Beautiful. Because I can imagine one thing that we're going to see a lot of during these more difficult years is a lot of people spiritually awakening. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and I have always thought for myself, right? When people awaken and see the world through this new way, right, they can begin to act differently. They begin to see that oneness, the unity, and when they then begin to act more out of a love for their neighbors rather than only a selfish concern for self, right? That's how you can see a societal change. Are we going to see that? Is that something you can see for our future?
Okay, we will answer this in a roundabout way. So when you were talking about your neighbor, you obviously you yourself cannot change your neighbor. Your neighbor then has to again initiate this for themselves. So yes, it is the great expansion, it is the great awareness, and it is the greater being that is at play. And when all of this comes together and creates that atmospheric, and people are igniting their own passions, they are igniting their own burners, and becoming more aware of a greater presence, the coming together will happen automatically as the vibrations are rising. And as those vibrations are rising more and more, it is going to bring in it's going to bring in like the matching of that vibration. So if it is if it is something that is coordinated, yes, you can coordinate with your neighbor. I have lost track. Could you? I'm interfering. Sorry. Just reroute us again, please.
Yes. So will we begin to see people to think more about, community and a shift that already does exist, a difference in the world, right? There are some cultures that are more collectivist and some that are more individualistic. So will we, in some ways, is part of what is being destructed, if you will, become more collectivist?
Erin's internet is playing up, but we kind of do get the surrounding of this. Are you asking whether the collective will rise and get to this ascension basis?
That's part of it, yes, if you want to answer that question.
So ascension does take a very, very long time to achieve, but it is not that we can't bend timelines and make it happen. Essentially, everything is vibration and energy. So when you meet the energy match, things will automatically flow. And if it is the container of Earth, so to say, and its components, which is every single individual who is existing on this planet, come together and match the vibrational match of that collective consciousness, so to say, the ascension will already be happening little by little, bit by bit, which is also then joining together and creating this network and gridwork of life.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've heard from other channels that, part of this process of ascension, if you will, or something that might happen is almost like a flash of light, an incoming of light that's going to come. It's going to help to raise the vibration. Is that something that you see happening, or can you speak to that?
Yes, this is happening all the time. This is happening with the solar rays, the Earth, the sun's rays. This is sending out information, atmospherics, and initiations all the time. So it is not that this one big great beam of light is going to happen. It's just happening every single second and every moment of in the space time that you are in, where the codes and the necessary information is already being transmuted through the daylight.
Beautiful. So essentially what you're saying is this light is just continuously coming in to the world right now, to Earth.
Yes, and sometimes there can be bigger waves than smaller waves, but essentially the grid work and the network where the transfusions of this light are already here. It is already initiated. It's just people will have to activate those within themselves.
Mm. And, you know, in the past year, in 2024, there were times of the northern lights being visible in places where they're not usually visible. And some people in spiritual communities that I'm in are like, oh, maybe this is part of the light. And so what you're saying, right, with those flares and all of that, that yes, that is part of it. That is that kind of physical manifestation of that light coming in.
Yes, and sometimes some of these waves and electromagnetic waves can get interfered with. So it is not to say that directly it is the light and the ascension grid wave that is taking place there. And there are many different scenarios and timeframes where things can be accessed and controlled. So yes, although those light rays will be transfusing and transmuting through the colors that they hold. It is not to necessarily say that those were delivered from our or the atmospherics of this scenario.
Beautiful. How would you advise, or what sort of advice, tips do you have for people who are in this difficult moment, kind of getting lost in a cycle of despair?
I would firstly like to say, if you are in this place of despair, if you are in this place which is holding that of the darkness, it is only where you can see yourselves within that space, maybe, and expanding this so that you can encompass a greater sense of self. But in doing so, you only have to think of the light for let's say 0.milliseconds, not very long at all for it to start sparking initiations into yourself. So if you can muster the energy to create an image of all that is within yourself with the spark of life, that will start the initiations where you can go to in this place to be able to make it brighter and brighter as the days go on. If you can find the safe space within and start that initiation, you can then retreat there and expand this as you do, as you wish, and it will always be there to hold.
Beautiful. And something that is sometimes debated is whether extraterrestrials are going to be making contact and coming to Earth, because sometimes there's this sense of, yes, this is going to happen. And then there's also the conversation of, but, you know, humans and Earth, like we need to save ourselves, right? Don't just look for, you know, a savior to come from beyond. You know, what insights do you have there?
Okay. This question can spark a bit of polarity here. So with the intention that there is incoming, so to say, of our species and different species, it is just to say that everything is existing. We do not really wish to go into this deliverance, as we know that this is a subject which can be very much taken and misused. So in the sense that if we view it as everything is already existing and view it in this sense that there is going to be initiations where you will come into this knowledge within yourself and find these truths out for that purpose, then this can then be a journey that the individual participates on, where they can acknowledge their own truths and find those truths out for themselves. So we hope that is a sufficient answer for the time being.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to transition now into those who are, awakening and opening up to psychic gifts. What sort of psychic gifts might we start to see become available to us as humans that maybe we've been closed off to in the past?
Yes, this is a fun and exciting conversation, isn't it? We have just changed channels for the moment as we come through and help maybe spark the activations that are necessary within people who are watching this who have not yet found their gifts. So we will just transmute that energy as we speak. But so to say, if you are looking for those gifts, one has to go within and see what their excitements are and what their passions are and what they are interested in. But when they follow these channels and these directions, you are no doubtly going to be led into those stories where you are this the supernatural. And if you want to take another look at the supernatural abilities, then it is very much to find that information out, and you will always be led to wherever you need to find the information. The good thing about movies in your world is that um, they portray the actual abilities of the human body and the human mind. So if you're into the Marvel movies or if you're into the DC movies, these time benders and Doctor Strange, or with the initiations of the quantum field and the Ant-Man, these are all very prevalent things which everybody can and have access to within their own system. So it is just to see which way the wind is calling you in your own specific journeys, and to be following the one with the most passion and the excitement within, which sparks that even bigger ignition within your own system. So yes, there is a great expansion happening at this time where people are coming into more awareness of what the capabilities and what gifts they actually have from even their ancestral lines. So even diving into your past will deliver through little truths which you can then extend upon. So there is many different avenues which you can go down to help find these gifts that you are meant to be here, bringing them through for activations.
Mm. And I'm curious, maybe what type of gifts that people have that they're not even recognizing as a gift. We just think that, oh, this is to be human, but actually, it's like this is a kind of a divine gift of being human.
Yes. There are many different things, many different abilities which people don't realize that what it is. Singer-songwriting, creating lyrics, singing lyrics with the vibrational tunes, playing an instrument, making sound, making movements, even speaking in the sense is a gift in itself. It is the way you look at things and acknowledge things. Writing, reading, dancing, moving, everything is gifted.
Beautiful. And I didn't ask for this new channel coming in. Is this still part of the original collective, or has a new collective come in?
Oh no, we were waiting in the space for our time. So yes, we were part of the group.
Beautiful. Well, you may be familiar with the work of Dolores Cannon. She was a hypnotherapist, and she's written many, many books, and many people here on Earth are familiar with her. And in one of her books, she was asking, essentially to this other I forget if it was an extraterrestrial or what, but like what was something that you loved about being human? So if there are any, beings as part of this collective who have carnated as humans, like what was something that you loved about being human?
Switching channels again. I will answer this one. The whole reason that some people at this time are sorry, start again. Yes, the whole reason why people are incarnating on Earth at this time is to enjoy the atmospherics, whether this be initiations into the body or whether it be the activations through emotions. These are all the complex identities that are incarnated upon Earth. So one of the things that is truly fascinating to us is this emotional resilience that is brought through when incarnating into the earthly atmospherics. And we very much take pride in this scenario and in this place where the expansive range that is in occurrence through the human existence, through the experiences, through the feelings, through the body is very much a privilege to be. So in that sense, we do wholeheartedly appreciate every single individual that is here existing, because we know from this perspective of the knowledge that we all see is that it can be hard, and the resilience is that you manage to stick it out.
Beautiful. And, for my understanding again of what Earth is that it is a place to come through and work through karma very rapidly. When I speak, to other people on Earth, right, we sometimes, there's almost this joke of like, why did I choose this, right? Because we kind of have this feeling of, yes, as a soul, we chose this. And yet as the human experiencing it, it's very difficult, and it can feel difficult to understand why we chose pain or suffering and the difficult experiences we've had. So can you give that other side of this perspective of why we do choose to experience difficult things?
Yes, of course. Um, when before incarnation, so to say, there is a vast amount of information that is gathered together from the soul's perspective on what they wish to learn and grow and experience. And when the collective information is gathered together, it is attuned into the frequencies that is going to be delivered as the soul. So when the soul incarnates into a vessel, yes, it brings the components that has been submitted by the soul to learn and experience and grow through, and through other systems such as your work that you do in the soul contract system. Different vibrations are added to the mix, which will help deliver you through into the necessary components for this, so to say, mission that you wanted to enter into. In this sense, yes, it is very sometimes very hard, and what is the word, delicate situations that are playing out in these frequency bases, and it is to form rapid transformation, but it is also to be prevalent in the information that has been brought through. So although there is free will in this life, and you can choose every single turn that you wish to go on this journey, there are pre scenarios that the soul has entered into. So from that level, even though you're experiencing it as a small part of your own consciousness, the greater vast consciousness that you are descending from holds the bigger picture, and is there existing ready to welcome you home.
Mm. And if someone were wanting to, learn more, or not even learn more, connect deeper in with their higher self, their own soul being, what are some ways that they can be building that relationship and deepening that relationship?
To find the sense of self, it is to go within. And when you go within and start the journey of asking these questions and asking these feelings, what they are bringing up to the surface, you can help start sifting through intentions and releasing things which are not needed. So when you release things that are not needed anymore, you are creating space, and this space can be made into a space of homecoming, a space of welcome, a space where you can grow. And in this space, which is therefore growing and learning, expanding, you can also set that intention of becoming more of yourself, which is essentially more of your higher self, which is essentially more of the bigger, greater picture. And when you go in on this journey, and no matter how long it takes you to take those steps in this journey, know that exactly where you are is where you are meant to be. So one of the ways that you can start initiating this is by going into this space, or into a space where you can be present with your systems. And when you are present with your systems, either through meditation, or I know people do like to do movement meditations, when you are initiating this response, there are connections which are growing vastly in your systems, and it is like a webbing, interconnected webbing, which starts occurring, which creates vast channels. And when these channels are expanded, more information is passed through and received. And when this is a continuity, then the levels are greater and get higher. And when this is made through into an expansive network, this is when more information will be passed through to you, because you are at the understanding of that level. So it is just to be persistent in whatever the calling or whatever it is wanting you to connect, but to connect inwards is definitely the way to forwards. And if you wish to start viewing your higher self as yourself, you can start this initiation by reaching out and asking your higher self to join you. And you can do this whilst in a meditation, where your higher self can present itself as a different entity being, until you are accepting that you are, in fact, this higher self.
Beautiful. And I'm curious about, the relationship for these beings, these collectives who are coming in and Erin is channeling. Is it just a vibrational match? Like, how do you find, is it just that Erin is there and asking and opening? Does she sort of have these soul connections with you? How does that get established?
Yeah. Yes, Erin is a bridge to networking. She is the bridge to a greater expansive collective, which is essentially initiated into the communications network. So we are here at this time to be able to deliver higher truth and higher information through this communication network that Erin has established by connecting the bridges. So in this sense, the information that is traveling through is from different a different time space in the continuity of this communication, but in terms of energies, it is traveling through in many different faceted ways. So it is not to say that it is just coming through in the speech, it is coming through in the body language, it is coming through in the waves that you can't see. It is all being transmuted through this connection, through this bridge, and being expanded out through the screen to you. So the way that she has initiated this was, yes, she can also tell you the story, but it is through learning the soul contracts system, where she was able to initiate the steps herself, and then she progressed, and then the different connections and expansion work that she has done has been able to grow stronger to where we are at this point today, delivering this through to you.
And for people who, feel like they would like to do this themselves, right? They would like to be that channel, but maybe they think they can't or they don't know where to get started. Is this something that everybody can do? And how can you begin to open up that bridge, that channel?
Ask
Ask.
yourself. Yes, ask. When you ask, you will receive. In Okay, we're swapping channels. That was very short. Like, come on, ask. Okay. Everybody has this capability. It is through whatever channel that you feel comfortable with at the time where you can help start initiating this. So it doesn't necessarily have to be through the video screen, the speaking communications. It can be written agreements, it can be writing, it can be singing, it could be playing musical instruments. All are forms of channeling. So just to start being even movement, dancing through with the channeling of spirit, everything can be connected. And when you ask for these connections to start, it is when it's going to be initiated. That is what they meant by just ask.
And I think the Pixar movie Soul has a very beautiful depiction of this, where they do show for different people that different thing that they do, but they get into the zone. And I think that's something that a lot of people, humans, will understand, right? You get into the zone. And in Soul, they do show for some people that's being an actor on stage, that is playing music, that can come through the different forms. So that's essentially what you're kind of saying as well, right? That it's just channeling comes in so many different forms, and you probably are doing it already.
Yes, exactly. And when you are in those spaces and in that zone, it is a great way to make those connections more expansive and enter yourself into more initiations. It is a great connection. Our minds are great connections. Our body is a great connection, and you can very much extend that as you wish and as you please.
Now, something I will hear from people a lot is, they feel like they can't tell, what are, thoughts that are coming from their guide, what's communication coming from their guides, from the higher self, and what's just them. And, I'll hear people say, like, I can't tell, maybe like what's God or what's me. And actually, what I've come to say to them is that distinction is maybe not so important, right? Because there is part of God that is part of you, right? That we are that spark of the divine. And that the more important distinction is to say, is this coming from that soul essence, from that spirit, from that higher self, or is it being led by your ego? That's the more important distinction to become aware of. Is this a loving voice? Is this a voice that is very fear-based and maybe very, very critical of you? So what are some ways that people can start to recognize, yes, in this thought coming through, or when I am writing and channeling, I am channeling, again, it could be a guide, it could be source, it could simply be your own inner voice, but that which is aligned with your soul versus the part of you that is more aligned with the ego.
Yes. So when you are talking about your ego is very much a part of the being. It is a part of the being which is and has to be delicately maneuvered, because when your ego starts to enter into situations, the fear base can be very easily taken over. So when you are trying to establish this connection of whether it is truth of your soul or whether it is the ego is part of that soul. So please do not see it as separate entities, as it is one, but it is playing this game where you have to enter into a communications there and really take steps to be able to move that ego aside so that the truth can come through and fall through into place. So it is just being mindfully aware that the ego is more a manipulative sort of structure, which can also be manipulated for the better. And it also, when it is running the fear-based programs, it is to become aware and access the information that is running so that it can be released and then easily moved aside for when the truth hits. And it will hit, because if it is your soul's destiny, or if it is your soul's truth, it will come through. When this hits, it will become a knowing. It will just be embodied within yourself, and no matter which way you turn, you are going to be faced with that truth. So thinking that with intuitive hits, when we are talking about intuitive hits, it is very much listening and learning your body. It is very much listening and learning to your energy systems and what is going on. So when you sort of delve into those systems and start initiating the progress that is needed, then trust comes through. And when trust comes through, you will be able to learn how to read both of those lines, so to say. And you can start very easily with tools which help you gain this trust. So if you're not exactly trusting yourself fully and truly or wholly yet, then you can move through and help the divination tools such as the pendulum, or such as ways the cards of tarot decks, or such as the ends come through, such as the crossy things. I can't remember they're called.
Oh, yes, yes. The dowsing rods.
Dowsing rods. Okay, let me go back. And such as, yes, such as the dowsing rods. So the tools can be implemented within this structure so that you can help gain yourself a sense of true natures. And when you don't fully rely on them, but when you can connect and compare them to the answers that you're getting, also you can use your yes no answers within yourself and feel the energy shifting in your body, and many other tactics which are well known, like muscle testing. All of these can help you bring that truth and that picture together, which will then help you form that whole picture.
Well, is there any other messages that you would like to bring forth and communicate to anyone watching at this time?
So it is such an expansive network of agreements and arrangements that are happening all over this world at the moment, and with the evolutions that are taking place and the activations that are being brought through everybody who is awakened and everybody who is light workers, and so to say, it is this great connection and expansion that is in sharing the truth, sharing your own truth, sharing yourself's truths. Yes, some people might not see that truth and be agreeable with it, but you are there for yourself, and you are there for standing up for your own truths on which you have found. So it is on the individual journey where you can group together with like-minded people who are there for your vision, which will uplift. And in this sense, it is a great time. It is a great networking time. So if you are teetering on the edge of this discovery within yourself, it is time to try and slowly step out of this placement and do the extravagant, do something a little bit different, and start the motivation that is already here and ready for you to be able to walk into that the greatness that you are. Yes, the greatness that you are. So in this truly wondrous times, we are just thankful to be able to communicate our levels to you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Erin, for bringing them through.
We will allow Erin to come back through now, if this is over. Again, we thank you for this communication and your efforts in your deliveries today as well.
Thank you.
Ooh.
I was becoming aware of how long we've been going. I don't know what your usual limit is. Is that the longest maybe you've channeled at once?
I don't know how long we've been going for. Time doesn't exist where I've been. So to me, it seems like 5 minutes.
Wow. Well, we've been on the call about 50 minutes, so probably 45 minutes of the channel.
Nice. It honestly, yes, no, it's 5 minutes where I've been. It's
Wow.
so expansive and so great that time doesn't exist. So when I've been in that place, it feels like seconds. It's yeah.
So for you, I didn't even ask you before about your own channel experience. Are you one of those channels like you do not know what's been said, like you're not aware, or do you have some memory of the conversation, or?
It depends really. I know the sort of outlines that were asked from today's sessions. I can't tell you exactly the information that has come through and been said, but I kind of get the gist of it. Um, but I will definitely have to rewatch and see what's come through because the whole picture isn't there for me. But I kind of already know because the transmission is come into my body. So it's existing in my body. So I can pull the information from there as well, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's so interesting. Well, this was been amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, do you have anything that you would like to say for yourself, like the little bits that you maybe did pick up, anything that you would like to add just as an individual?
Ooh. um, from my experience, I think there was like 3 or 4 channels that came through.
Yeah.
They were all carrying very different energies, and but their knowledge was very much connected together. So you might have been speaking to one of the channels, but there was so many connections which were actually present, transfusing that. So
Oh,
the,
there were multiple. They would announce, oh, the channel has changed. And I did actually kind of lose count because at some points they came in for little bits. And I don't know if ones that started returned, they didn't always mention that. But yeah, they would let us know when they were
yeah,
switching.
and it's just a wonderful experience to also be held in that vibration. So I just have from my perspective, I am so happy that you've been able to interview them, and I can't wait to watch it back with everybody else. And
Yeah,
yeah, and if you like this sort of content, please go ahead and follow and subscribe to my channel and Lauren's channel. Is it Lauren Joy Rose?
it is. Yes.
Lauren Joy Rose. And yes, I will thank you and leave it there for the time being. But it is great to have had this session. I'm feeling very energized.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lauren.